Okay, so the next cast, we talked about the Belgian, but the next most useful cast is actually the roll cast. Not only is it helpful for avoiding brush and so forth behind you when you can't make a back cast, but it's really helpful with sunken flies and sunken line. And there's an appropriate way to do the roll cast. A lot of people want to do this sort of thing, when in fact what you need to do is bring your hand up and then bring it down, almost straight down, and then out, and that way you can execute a proper roll cast and the fly and leader go out. So again, bring the arm up, elbow down, out, and out she goes with the roll cast. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So learn the roll cast. The other reason the roll cast is so important is because we can actually roll cast a sunken line or sunken fly back up to the surface before we try to pick it up into our back cast or Belgian cast. So the next thing is, let's talk about fishing methods. They're really fairly simple. The oldest one is just down and across, or across and down, whichever way you like to look at it, and let the fly swing. What's going to happen here next is I'm going to make a roll cast, get the fly up to the surface. I may need to make more than one roll cast to get the fly back up. Then I'm going to make a Belgian. I'm going to change direction and put the fly over here, and I'm just going to let that puppy swing all the way down across the stream with no motion or anything to it. This is ages-old technique, and I'm just going to let it go, hopefully on a taut line if the current's right. Okay? So that's down and across swing. Now the other thing you can do is down and across with a strip retrieve or a twitch. That's essentially the same startup point, and then what we do is we just start retrieving line back in. Remember I said streamer lines are meant to be stripped short and cast long? Well, this is a situation where as the fly is swinging, you're stripping line back in. So the first thing I'm going to do here is make my roll cast, and there's my fly up, across, and as it's coming back to me, I'm going to make some little strips here like this. You might want to make a long strip. You might even want to pulse it, where you pulse and give it back and pulse and give it back. The current isn't quite showing that like I'd like it to, so I'm going to redo this cast, put it in a little bit more current so you can see that pulse technique. Roll cast, flies out of the water, Belgian, across stream. Pulse, give it back. Pulse, give it back. Pull, give it back. That's what I call a pulse. The twitch is another thing you can do instead of stripping in. You could just twitch the rod tip. I usually put it just at the water or in the water and twitch the fly across like that. That way I don't really strip in much line. Now let's talk about shooting line. You need to be able to do that. So let's say I've stripped in all this line and I want to put that into my next cast. What I'm going to do is the same thing again. I'm going to make a roll cast. Flies at the surface. Belgian. Across stream, let that line shoot. You see all this slack went out. Now I can strip this in as it comes across. Okay? Many of these dedicated streamer lines have rather short heads, so you need to strip in that skinny running line before your next cast anyways. So those are a couple of techniques that are really helpful for downstream fishing. What you're going to do though too, remember, is I'm going to cast here, I'm going to make one or two swings here, and that's it. Then I'm going to take 2 or 3 steps downstream and repeat the whole process. This way you cover a lot of water very quickly, and you're going after big fish that want that big fly. So the next one to remember is, what about pocket water? Do big fish live in pockets? You bet they do. You all know this from fishing nymphs and dry flies and catching big fish in pockets. Well, they eat streamers too. And the way to do this very often is to cast your streamer upstream. This is a very effective technique. Baitfish generally swim downstream, and a lot of people overlook upstream presentation of streamers. So make sure you use this, especially when you get into current tongues and pockets like this. It can be a very effective technique. So here we go. I'm just going to get my streamer back up there. Okay, I'm going to roll cast to get it out of the water. There it is. Belgian, shoot line, and now I'm going to strip this and try and keep up with the current, keep my line taut, so that if that fish hits, I know about it right away. So the next piece of this is, remember to keep your rod tip close to the water. You might want to think about re-watching this video and watch every time that I presented my fly and let it either swing or strip back. My rod tip is either at or in the water, okay? Keep it low. If you keep it up here, this is all slack, and you won't feel that fish take. You want to feel that fish take. That's half the fun of this. The other piece is, when the fish does take, don't do the standard trout set. Here's the standard trout set. Get my line out there, my fly out there, I'm stripping back, I feel the fish take, and I go like this. What you do when you do that is usually pull the fly right out of the fish's mouth. What you need to do is keep your rod tip low and do what's called a strip set or strip sight strike, which looks like that. Just give it you don't even need to give it that long a tug. A little short tug, 4-6 inches is often all you need. So remember, rod tip low and strip set. Don't trout set. And that's it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. I sure had a lot of fun doing it. And any questions, feel free to contact me or the good folks at Anglers All. Tight loops, till next time, tight loops except with streamers.